You are listening to the Heartland Author Podcast. Welcome to the Heartland Author Podcast. I am Aaron Apollo Camp, the host of this podcast. Today marks the 1-year anniversary of Lady in the Fast Lane, my motorsports fiction novella I wrote last year, becoming available for purchase in ebook format. I have not published any new books since I self-published Lady in the Fast Lane, but I am currently working on multiple book projects. I am currently writing a romance novel, a science fiction series, a tech fiction novel, an historical fiction series, multiple poetry collections, and several nonfiction books. I also intend to self-publish my future works in multiple formats, including ebook, paperback, and possibly hardcover and audiobook as well. However, while I have begun some work on these projects, I have been in a writing slump since publishing Lady in the Fast Lane. I have not yet begun work on the manuscript proper of any of the books I'm currently writing, although I have done a considerable amount of outlining and other pre-manuscript work on my works in progress. I have also, over the past year, had to completely rethink how I write. Furthermore, a lot has happened in my life over the past year. My mother has only recently recovered from serious health issues. My father died very suddenly from sudden cardiac death a little over 6 months ago. Not long before my father died, I was diagnosed with depression and I currently take antidepressants to treat depression. I did a poll on Twitter some time ago asking fellow authors how long their longest writing slump was, and while this was a non-scientific poll that only had 13 respondents, a plurality of poll respondents answered that their longest writing slump lasted more than a year. The writing community on social media has been a major inspiration to me when it comes to continuing with my writing endeavors and learning more about the writing craft. I am just about to get out of a long writing slump. I have less distractions in my life now than I've had in the past year, and I cannot wait to be able to begin writing manuscripts for some of my works in progress. This is Aaron Apollo Camp reminding y'all and myself to write your imagination. Bye for now. If you would like to be interviewed for a future episode of the Heartland Author Podcast, please email the podcast host at campaaronapollo@gmail.com. This podcast episode is intended for the private listening of our audience. Any reuse, retransmission, or redistribution of this podcast episode in any form without the express written consent of the podcast host is prohibited. Sound effects obtained from https://www.zapsplat.com.